On this computer. All right, welcome everybody. Hello, this is Ashley Pitzer, your Ascension Coach and Hypnotist, and I'm here with the podcast of Practicing Life. Today, I'm so excited because we have a guest with us, and this guest is Stacy Yardley. And girl, I got to tell you, she's freaking fantastic. I actually get to be coached by her, and I just love her. And she has so much intuitiveness, and she's so gracious with how she delivers messages to you. And oh, I just can't wait. So before we get started, I am going to read her bio so you guys can know her from a professional standpoint. Stacy Yardley is an empowerment coach and transformation catalyst for entrepreneurs, change makers, and visionaries who want to experience more joy, fulfillment, and success in both life and work. She believes that you are a powerful being, and when you fully love and accept who you are and express yourself in this world as you are meant to be, the possibilities of creating the life you want are endless. Through her conscious approach to change, combined with her intuitive gifts, Stacy helps others master their personal energy through core energy coaching so that they can create the life they desire and experience all that is available to them through the possibilities. In 2016, Stacy obtained her ICF certification through Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, where she also became certified as an energy leadership master practitioner. Stacy has been facilitating group coaching spaces for over 25 years, whether it be teaching, coaching, or educating. And she's a master at creating a safe yet powerful space for others to thrive. She's also a breast cancer thriver and a mom of a grown-up daughter. In her spare time, Stacy enjoys getting out in nature, meditating, and searching out the perfect glass of homemade kombucha. Did I say that right?
Kombucha.
Kombucha. Okay, well, I have never had that. I'm assuming it's some type of tea. I should know this. In this world that I live, I should know this, but I don't. It's like I do, but I don't. It's like I'm in denial, like it's there in front of me and I'm ignoring it. But it probably is something with a lot of caffeine, right?
Not too much. It's a fermented tea. Tea, but not all kombuchas are the same. So you got to really know what you're looking for. But yeah, I love it. It's good stuff.
All right. Well, I'm so glad to have you here today, and I'm so excited. So I'm going to ask you to tell me your story. You get to dive in and tell me to tell the listeners all the good stuff.
Tell the listeners the good stuff. Well, I know we're limited on time, so I'll try to make it quick, but I just want to first say thank you for having me on. I'm so thrilled to be here and excited to have this conversation with you. My story, gosh, it's long, and like anybody who's lived 52 years on this planet, you go through a lot of different things, but in a nutshell, I would say that I grew up dancing as a dancer, and that led me into the entertainment field. And I was a professional dancer with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus in my youth at 19. And that experience had quite an impact on me, which I won't get into all of that. I'm currently writing a book about that, but it kind of set me on a trajectory of not really feeling that great about myself. And with my dance background and all that thing, all the things kind of led me, into this. I had codependency issues. I had just all the things that many, many women have in our society, which is low self-esteem, low self-worth. I'm not good enough, all the things, and kind of just looked for love in all the wrong places, as the song goes. I got married at 27, went after my second dream at that point to be married and have a family. And so I got married, had a beautiful daughter who just recently turned 20. And then, years down the line on that, I got divorced and went through that trial of, separation and divorce and starting a new life. And over the past 10, 12 years, it's been a journey of single motherhood and really coming to the point of understanding I needed to love myself. And that was through my first divorce, realizing I was codependent. And so I've been on the healing journey since then, of healing my codependency, of healing my self-love, my low self-worth, all of that. And always been into personal development. I've recognized recently, like, wait a minute, I go back to like my childhood stuff. I'm like, I've always been into this kind of stuff. And so that's kind of what led me into coaching. Was I was a fitness instructor, and I was seeing a lot of women struggle to stick with it and to really make the changes they needed to make, because they were trying to make the changes from the outside in versus the inside out. And so that's what led me into coaching, was really wanting to help women really shift their mindset and understanding that it's an inside job. And so I went to coaching school in 2015, 16, and here we are. And I kind of led into coaching from there. And now I'm a health coach for a major company. And I'm also a private coach for myself, and help more on the life business side of my private practice. So it's kind of it in a nutshell.
It's one of the things, like, there's so many things I can relate to you with, like the fitness instructor and both doing coaching, and yeah, lots of stuff there. And you're now writing a book, and I have a
Yeah.
book. So it's so exciting. I can't wait to hear more about this book. So we will definitely talk about that later. But so one of the things that you were saying is that, you've gone through all of this stuff. You've gotten to a place now where you can turn around and you can help other people. Now, I'm just going to relate this back to the pre-recording session that we had that our audience doesn't get to listen to, but I just wanted to bring these two conversations together, where one of the things that Stacy and I were talking about before we actually hit the record button, and we were just getting carried away talking about our life, was, we go through experiences, we hit these low points where you're just like rock bottom, but then something freaking amazing happens. You can use it for your, like your benefit, for your purpose, for your drive, for what motivates you. And I see you doing this. Like, I am somebody who gets to watch Stacy coach, and she's freaking phenomenal. And she's so phenomenal because she's been there, and she can relate to you, and she can feel you. And you know what I want to bring up too? You got to talk about your coaching, because your coaching is so freaking unique. Your energy core is a specific name that's already slipped
Or
my.
energy coaching. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so freaking interesting, and it's different, and it's unique from what is out there. I've worked with a lot of different coaches, and we talk so much about your thoughts. And I love that you talk so much about your energy, because you know your energy, you feel your energy, and sometimes you disregard your thoughts. So what do you want to say about that?
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought this up, Ashley, because it is tying together our conversation. So thank you for bringing me home to
You're
myself there.
welcome.
Because now it's like, oh yeah, duh. Like, remember? So it's funny, because when I went into coaching school with IPEC, which is the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, it's a mouthful, their model is around core energy. And that's what they teach from the energy standpoint. And when I went through that coaching school, I recognized like everything in my life was coming to head at that point. I had an autoimmune disease, and I had been kind of battling adrenal fatigue, because I had been, working so hard at my fitness business that was, kind of on the downslope, and I was getting ready to exit it through a second marriage that was going awry. I was just experiencing a ton of stress. And in that coaching experience, and that understanding, and that schooling, I had the aha, like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like, everything I've been thinking and feeling and going through has an energetic charge to it, and it's having an effect on my body. Right. And Bruce Lipton talks about this. Like, there's a lot of people in the wellness space that do focus on how our thoughts and emotions and epigenetics, right, can affect how we express our genes, right, and can affect all of that. And so I was like, okay, yeah, now I get it. Like, now I see why I'm getting autoimmune. Now I see like why my health is kind of spiraling down, and really trying to get a hold of all of that. Right. So I've kind of been on this health journey too, with myself and healing. But recognize that my thoughts and my emotions were tying into that so closely, right? My well-being, so to speak. And so, with everything that I've been through, and even up till now, so this is one thing I wanted to say, was that I think that we we go through schooling, or we get, the certifications, or we get the degrees, or we get the thing, right? Whatever it is, the label that we slap on and say, okay, I've made it now. I'm now official, that we should have it all figured out. Right. And I remember someone saying, like, do doctors get sick? Do chiropractors
Yeah,
have alignment?
exactly.
Like, yes, like chiropractors could have alignment. Doctors get sick. Like, just because you're a coach doesn't mean you can't see your blind spots. Doesn't mean, that you can see
Yeah.
them. Like, you still have
We're
your own.
human too.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So when, when the breast cancer kind of piece came in, that really catapulted me into the whole energetic space of like, how is my energy affecting me, and what have I been going through? And that's when I really like got the PhD for myself in understanding my energy, and how my energy was affecting my body and my wellness. And so I've been digging more into that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but really the energy piece of it is everything that we are. And the emotions and stuff carry the charge that then has a after lasting effect, so to speak, in our physical body. So still like putting it all the pieces together, right? And really like wanting to bring forth more into the world, which is what I'm currently working on, is kind of rebranding and restructuring my business to more facilitate this type of work, because it all ties together, like self-love with energy and well-being, like it's all tied together. So, and consciousness, right, and awareness and all of that, mindfulness, like it's all tied
Yeah,
together.
you've got this new approach right now where you're combining these three and you're creating a mastermind kind of program.
Well, the mastermind actually, so here's what's happened in my life. Okay. These are the
Give
kind of
it
things
to
that happen where I'll just have an idea, or like, I want something for myself. Right. And
me.
then I'm like, okay, I want this for myself. And so I'm just going to go create it so that I can enjoy it.
Oh my
Right. So
gosh,
it's
we are so
kind
much
of a
alike.
selfish thing, right? It's kind of selfish.
Okay.
Like, I want to do this. Like, I wanted to dance. I wanted to like get into Zumba for myself, and there were no classes. So I went and became an instructor, right?
I
Before I
think
even
that's the
took
best way to do it.
yeah, before I ever taken a class, I took the instructor training, right? So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go teach it. And I had a booming business. And then
Mhm.
a couple years ago, I had this really deep desire to connect with women deeply, like really on an intimate, deep, heart-centered level. And so I created women's circles, and I did these sacred women's empowerment circles that were 2 hours long, and women just came and really connected. And it was a very successful time until COVID hit, right? Um, so, and so this mastermind is coming out of really the desire to have that space where we collectively come together and work towards whatever it is we're working towards, maybe for the first of the year, right? In our businesses, or what we want to launch, or whatever. And at the same time, pulling in that energetic piece and pulling in that intention piece and the things that I've played with on my own, or learned about, and wanting to kind of play in the sandbox with this mastermind, and play with the power of intention, and play with energy in such a way that it's powerful and displays like what's possible when we really put our minds and hearts in intention towards each other and collectively with each other. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what the mastermind is about. It's really has nothing to do with my other thing I'm doing, but you never know, right? Because sometimes
Oh, I know. I know,
yeah,
because you can't help yourself. You know, you have embodied yourself as a coach. So no matter what happens, you're going to be pulling that through, and it's going to
yeah,
be fantastic. And one of the things I was thinking about when you were talking, I know you said you got like a PhD now on energy. You have a PhD on love, okay? Self-love to the core. And isn't that going to be so great for anybody you've created now? You're starting to create this community where
yeah.
you're coming together and you're bringing energy and you're bringing like-minded people, but then you're coming in with your vibration of self-love. I mean, like, rain down on me, baby. Like,
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
gonna be
Well, it's
freaking
funny
amazing.
because I do have a community online on Facebook, but it's kind of gone dormant over the last year because of the breast cancer situation, right? So it was around this time last year that I started going into the diagnosis process, and or the discovery process, so to speak. But the self-love experience group has kind of been dormant. And I'm like, okay, I think I need to relight this group up and kind of go back into that space, because I'm in a whole nother level now, Ashley. Like,
Oh, I
I
believe
knew
it.
self-love prior to the breast cancer like diagnosis, and I understood it. And I've been walking this path now for 12 years now, but like the last year has changed everything for me as far as my understanding of it and my tolerance of in the lack areas where self-love tends to dip, right? So my tolerance is
Talk
a lot
about it.
lower in the sense of like, no, we don't tolerate that anymore, Stacy. Like in your head, like we don't
Oh,
tolerate
I
kind of,
love those self boundaries,
yeah,
the boundary you put on yourself on what you will tolerate. I love it. I love it. It's so
exactly.
good. And I mean, one of the things I actually was going to ask you about was on the breast cancer. So, it's how can one grow when they are faced with something that racks them with fear? What tips would you give others who are facing something similar? So let's kind of, before we hit that, let's backtrack because we've kind of weaved in a little bit of your breast cancer story. I think one of the things that's really unique about you is you chose to do something maybe unconventional. Some people may perceive that as unconventional and go with more, it's not homeopathic what you did, but
No, I did more of an integrated approach, is what
there.
they call it.
Okay.
So a little backstory on the cancer piece is that um for years now I've been really into health and nutrition and all of that and wellness, right? And kind of more on the down low, like I did it in my fitness business, and I haven't really promoted myself as a health coach. But sugar, I know, is one of those things, right? So I was always big
Yeah.
on like, don't eat your sugar. And part of it was from the autoimmune disease, but I understood how cancer worked. I understood like the system, right? As now we're going to get controversial, right? But the system and how as I personally perceive it to be a little bit of a funnel, right? A bit of like they create customers. There's a lot of things in our foods that make us sick, a lot of toxins in our world and our
Yeah.
environment, in our bodies, and like it just creates this snowball effect that makes us sick.
Mhm.
And our system is set up that way. And so once you're in the system, you're now a customer, and hopefully a customer for life, right? So that you can keep generating that machine. So I knew that I was like, never want to be a part of the system. Well, long story short, I had some leaking happening in one of my breasts, and I was like, okay, not going to stress about it. Looked it up, I did my research. I was like, yeah, it's probably hormones, because I've been dealing with hormonal issues for a while now. And when I found out my grandmother, who is now 101, we had gone to her celebration last year when she was 100, and all the family got together, and I was talking to an aunt and discovered that my grandmother, when she realized she had breast cancer, she had ignored a problem for quite some time that escalated, where she had to have a mastectomy at this point. She was in her 90s at this point, right?
Okay.
So that kind of woke me up, and I was like, yikes. Came home, went through the whole diagnosis, like, okay, I got to go in and get checked, because I hadn't done any mammograms for about 6 years. And I was like, okay, I got to get checked. And so I went through the process. And at first it came back as pretty much like they found something, not in the breast I thought that they would, but in the other one. And they diagnosed it as LCIS, which is a lobular in situ carcinoma. They don't say it's typically cancer. It's like a pre-cancer thing. And so there was an optional, like you can leave the lump in or
Mhm.
we can take it out. Like it's up to you. There's a 10% chance it might change. And I was like, oh gosh, like, what do I do here? Now, what I want to point out is I didn't know then what I know now. And we can find things out, and we can find out information as we learn and as we grow. But like we were talking prior, right? And I even talk about this, and you reminded me of this, is that there are no mistakes.
Mhm.
We make the choices we make based on the information we have at the time, right? And so at the time, I was like, okay, well, I think I want to take it out, because I want to be safe. Better safe than sorry, right? Better to know it's out. I'm good, clean slate. I can start fresh from here. Well, they took it out, tested it, and then it came back as cancer. And somewhere along the line, I have my theories, but I won't speak those. But somewhere along the line, it transitioned from pre-cancer into cancer. And so
That's what
then,
worry does.
what's that?
That's what worry and fear does.
Yes, that's what that does. And radiation, right? So,
Mhm.
it's hard to know, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
our bodies do it. And I've learned a lot about new German medicine and like, was it even cancer? Right? I don't even know. Like, there's a lot of different things it could have been, but at this point we're labeling it cancer, and they're saying it's, invasive, and I need to go back in for surgery and back in for treatments and for radiation. No chemo is what they told me. And so at that point I was like, okay with surgery. I didn't feel like that was too much of a problem, but then the radiation was a difficult one. And that's when I knew, like, the minute that a diagnosis comes in like this, right? Like, the word cancer alone carries so much fear in our culture.
Yeah.
And when in reality, 1 out of 2 people, the statistics say, will get cancer. So it's a 50-50 chance we're going to get it at some point,
Right.
right?
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's a death sentence. And that's the thing, is often people think that. And so your mindset really matters. And so I knew with my training and all of that, like, okay, how do I want to move through this? How do I want to perceive this? How do I want to think about this? Right. And what I would say to somebody who is grappling with fear is, where is that fear coming from? Right. So I had to ask myself, like, what is the fear and where is it coming from? What is generating the fear? And it was beliefs, right, that our society puts on us. And it was all external. It was all coming from outside of me. When I got quiet, when I got still, when I tapped into my spirituality, when I tapped into my connection with, as I see it, Gus, God, universe, source, right, as my creator, my God, when I tapped into that, it was like there was peace, there was stillness, there was like, I got you. And no matter what you do, I got you, kind of thing. So at that point, I just was like, okay, lead me down the path. And this is kind of what the mastermind is going to be about, is that understanding that we're in a partnership, we're in a co-creation with God, creator, whatever, however you want to perceive it, that this field, this universal field, this subconscious mind, however you want to describe it, is with us, for us, in us, a part of us, like it's all one, right? And
Right.
so conspire, we've probably heard the words, it will conspire to work with you, or it's conspiring to help you, or whatever. But truly, energetics and quantum physics, it's proven out that there is a truth to it, right? That there is an absolute truth, scientific truth to how there's vibration and frequencies, and our universe works in energy, right? So when there's
Yeah.
intention and we use our power, it kind of like shows up in different ways with us. So I knew if I just pursued the truth, for me, what my truth was like, how do I navigate this road that I feel the most comfortable with? And it just kind of led me brick by brick down the path. And I eventually came to a point where I was able to find peace with an integrated approach, meaning that I am very much naturopathic oriented, and I wanted to go natural, but I was still a little scared, right? Because when you have your child looking at you saying, Mom,
Yeah.
do whatever you need to do everything you can to make this go away, right?
Yeah.
And not come back. It was like, okay, weigh that out. And so found naturopaths. I consulted 10, 11 different doctors, right? Between allopathic and naturopathic, on opinions on what's the right way to go. And majority was, 1 out of the 11 said, don't do radiation. The rest of them said, do radiation, even the naturopathic doctors, right? Which even that is controversial. Like, people have their thoughts on that. But nevertheless, I was like, okay, how can I do this and feel good about it? And I basically pulled in naturopathic therapies like ozone, IV therapies, vitamin C treatments, things that I knew would help my immune system and protect me. And at the same time, the radiation was going to help get rid of any cancer that might have still been lingering. So that's kind of the approach I took. But as far as, back to your question on fear, it's really like grounding and understanding love. And are you in love? Are you in fear? And it's a choice. It's really a choice of, what do I want to look to? And that's when it can drive you in deeper into your own spirituality and own connection, which takes you really deep into a whole nother space. For me, it was where, I've noticed since then, and even recently, and I really haven't talked about this with anybody. So you're getting some.
Oh, tell me.
It's really kind of desensitized. It's kind of like desensitized me to fear in a way. Like, I don't,
No way.
I don't really like, I'm kind of like, what's the point here? Like, I'm kind of like sitting here going, okay, why are we here? What's the point of this? Right? Like,
You've
we're
mastered
gonna
fear.
die, right? We're gonna die. And like, and people are like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, what are you sorry for? Like, is everything okay? Everything's great. Like, you're gonna die. I'm gonna die. We're all gonna die, right?
Yeah,
The question is, are we living?
right.
That's the question. Like, am I afraid to die? No, I'm afraid not to live.
There you
That's my
go.
fear. You know what I mean? And so now I'm like, okay, what does it mean to live? What does it mean to experience this experience as a human?
Well, I definitely like living, and I just want to bring it back to your mastermind because you talk about playing, and playing is like living, and we forget to play. And playing is so vital. It's so vital to our energy and our spirit. And I also want to say
Yeah.
something else too, because I'm going to use your words, and I took little notes. You said that the world kind of conspires, Gus conspires to work with you. And I just wanted to point this out too, because you happen to find out at a particular time, at the right divine time, about your grandmother, because like
Yeah.
otherwise, if that wasn't a
Yeah.
catalyst for you, like it would be a different story right now. So it's so interesting how things
Right.
do conspire to come
Mhm.
together at the right time for you. So exciting.
Yeah.
Um, so
Thank
and
you. Yeah. And that's, that's really the thing. If I look back at my life, and if any of us really look back, we can see like certain doors open when they open, right? The path appears. We just have to take the step to step on it. And to your point about it being fun and exciting, and it really is, if we let go of control and we say, okay, I can trust that I'm going to be okay no matter what. And then be open to what's going to show up, and then be willing to see what's showing up, and then be willing to believe that you're seeing what's showing up, and then take action on what you're seeing and believing is showing up. Right. So
right.
it's, there's steps to it, and messages that we get, and signs and signals, and like all the things. We just have to be willing to see them and be willing to believe that that's actually what's happening, because it is. Like, we're not alone.
Yeah, the control is such a big thing because we want things like we try to force things, we push to make what our dreams happen at this time, but we're not always ready for it to happen. And so it's like when you let go of the control and like you said, I love what you said when you were talking about your breast cancer story. You were talking about when you're looking at fear, you had to evaluate your personal truths. So it's like sometimes when we're in our control, we're so far away from what's really in our heart because we're just grabbing and and we just lose touch with our own
It's so
self.
true. It's so true. And the analogy is coming to me, and I get these metaphors that come in, and it's like going to an amusement park, right? It's like you show up and you're like, okay, I want to go to this amusement park. And you show up, or like a carnival or fair, right? Where the rides are there. And you're like, I want to go, I'm excited. And you
Yeah.
get there, and then you're like, oh, wait, I don't know if I want to go on that ride. I don't know if I want to go on that ride. I want to go on the easy ride. I want to go on the ride that's not going to make me sick or make me scared or make me, this or that. Like, I want to control it all, right?
That
But
has
if
too long of a line.
yeah, too long of a wait. I don't want to wait that long, right? Or whatever. And so we start to control, and then we walk out of there probably not having as much fun than the 12-year-old who walks in there is like, yeah,
Right.
and just goes with all abandon and goes along for the ride, right? And so it's like
Yeah.
when you buckle into the ride and you sit there and you're on and you're in, then it's like, then
Uh,
it gets fun. Am I right? Like, and some people might be
you
like,
can't, you have nothing left to control. It's so gone. You just got to ride.
yeah, you got to
And
trust.
that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it thrilling because you don't have the control.
Exactly. It's that thrill of trust, right? And I think that this is why we like to fall in love, because we fall in love with whoever we meet, or people or whatever, because it's new and exciting, and yet we somehow trust them, right?
Yeah.
If you ever think about that, like when you've ever fallen in love, you don't have a fear of trust. Like you have to let go of that fear of not trusting somebody, right? You end up having to trust them. And that's the exciting part of it, because it's like,
Yeah.
gosh, I'm putting my heart in this person's hands, and they could break it, but yet it's so much fun and I love it and I just want more of it, right? So
Yeah.
why not enter that kind of relationship with the universe where
Yeah.
you're like,
With yourself.
yeah, with yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Imagine how much fun it could be to just say like, okay, I trust that it's going to be okay. And let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's play, you know? And
Yeah.
really that's what this whole energy coaching thing is about, is how we show up in this life, how we show up and experience this life. It's about playing the field, playing the game. If
Mhm.
this life is a virtual reality, if it is an illusion
Yeah.
and it is what we make it, then how are we playing the game?
Yeah. One of my personal beliefs, so my perception is that this is the realm. So you can make it heaven or you can make it hell, but it's now. It's not you die and you go to one or the other. You're choosing right now as you experience it. So, that's one of the reasons why I'm such an advocate over play, have fun, take chances because it's now. And what I
Yeah.
notice a lot of people doing as they get older, they just collect like books, stacking on top of each other, more and more fears. And then they become less adventurous and less playful and it consumes them. And
It's
it
so true. It's so true. And the reason for that is, Ashley, is because we don't heal. We don't take the opportunity and the awareness and the time to get on the healing journey, right? We don't go into the wounds that we've collected along the way that are reiterating the beliefs that we have that are false beliefs. And we just, like you said, it just keeps stacking and stacking and stacking. And so it's that awareness that like, okay, it doesn't have to be this way and I can choose to have it different, but it's also going on that healing journey of like, what are the wounds I've collected along the way? What's the baggage, the rocks I'm carrying in my backpack, right? That I need to let go of and heal and release so that I can be free and have fun, right?
yeah.
And I think that that's, why are teenagers and young people so full of life and well, one, their brains aren't fully developed, right? So they have that advantage, but at the same point, they haven't gotten the scrapes and the bruises and the bumps and the, wounds along the way. But
Yeah.
if we continue to heal and love ourselves, right? The more we love ourselves, the better it's going to get.
And the
And
more
that's
energy we have, so we
yes.
can, like that. What is that joke everybody always says? Like, I wish I could, capture kids' energy and sell them. You can. It's there for
Yeah.
you. You just got to be willing to do the work to heal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we all have an inner child.
Oh my
So
gosh,
we
yeah.
all have that energy inside of us. It's just, is it wounded? Is it being stifled? Is it being told, shut up, sit down, I don't want to listen to you? Or is it being, I got you,
Mhm.
what do you want to do today? What should we do? How should we go about this? Right.
That's right. And your PhD in love has served you well because you are a thriver and not only breast cancer, but in like your business and all of the things that you're doing and being a mother and your daughter is like achieving all of these fantastic things because
Thank you.
you created a safe place for her to thrive and that's freaking amazing.
Yeah. And I want to speak to that really quick too, because sometimes, and I'll just make this really quick point, as a mom, we can get into, especially a divorced mom, it can get really sticky and tricky. Right.
Mhm.
But really what happened for me was I went on the self-love journey and I taught her as I went. So
Mhm.
whatever I was learning, she was learning with me. And so any parents that are listening, I would just say, don't feel like it's too late. Don't feel like, even if they're grown at this point, we can create change and ripple effects in our families if we do the work ourselves and allow that ripple effect to go out to those around us and just share what we're learning about ourselves and share the journey, right, with them and allow them to see and witness what's happening so that they can learn too. And that's really what I did with her. And it's paid off. I mean, we all have
Yeah.
our stuff, that we have to work through, and she will too. She's got her own wounds that are, from her life journey, but it's recognizing it's her journey. And I'm here to support her the best I can. But that she has her own dharma to walk out as well. So, and dharma and karma, to walk out. So
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely all have our lessons. So what brings you the most joy in your personal as well as your business life?
I would say
Talking about all this play, what is your play?
connection. I would say connection is probably what brings me the most
I
joy.
love connection too. Like the real energy connection, not just a shared story, but like, you know, you're talking
Yeah.
to people and you get the goosebumps and you're like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Even in the smallest connection though, right? Like if we understand oneness and we understand that everyone we see is a mirror to us and we understand that everybody is a part of us, right? And we open our heart to that, that
Mhm.
even the smallest connection of like telling somebody they have a nice shirt on, or telling someone who's having a bad day, like, I really like your eyes, you're really light, bright eyes. It can really like create a spark there. It's the humanity in us, right? And
Mhm.
so I love the deep connections, like deep,
I do
connections
too. Yeah.
kind of give you those, woo chills, like you're saying. But I love the quick interactions too, and I love making an impact if I can on people, just a positive impact, so that they walk away better with interacting with me. Not always the case, not perfect because I'm human, but that's what I strive for. That's what I enjoy the most.
And you probably get a lot of that in your business too. So,
I do, and the thing is that my connections in my business and my connections in even in my personal life, like more in my business, it's more of an opportunity for me too to see more of myself, like I said, and grow in my own self-love, because those that I help are just maybe a little bit behind me. And so I'm helping them see in them what I see in them. And it helps me see more in me as
yeah,
a mirror, if that makes sense. So
no, it does. Well,
it's
for
a
me, it does.
win-win. It's a
All
win-win.
right. So what lesson? This is actually interesting because one of the things you were it's the question. Let's just go with that. What lesson have you learned over and over as more and more layers have released?
That there's always opportunity to love ourselves more.
So you,
That it's always, for me, it always comes down to self-love. Like and I know that sounds so trite and so like, so it's just self-love is thrown around so much, right? And I was listening to a podcast just today with Bruce Lipton, who's one of my favorites, really big on epigenetics and everything. And he was talking about this as well. And he was being asked, what percentage of the world do you think doesn't love themselves? And I said in my head, 90%. And he said, oh, about 90%. And I
uh,
was like, yep. Because I think that we think that it's like, I do or I don't love myself. And it's so much more than that. It's the depth of the love that we have, or it's the layers that we have. It's the healing process, right? And so there's always another layer. And usually with clients that I work with or people I talk to, it's always like, okay, well, how can you love? Like, where is the self-love here? When you come back to it, if you love yourself, what would change? And it changes everything. So it just takes things away that become obstacles, because it's really, you're in ego versus love. And so when you can remove out of ego and come into love and love for yourself, it's just, the problem's just kind of like, okay, I can handle it. It's not that big of a deal.
yeah, like one of the things I always tell myself is that I can face anything because I know I'm going to love myself through it. So I
Yeah.
don't have to worry about making anything mean something devastating or upsetting. I can just be like, well, it's okay. I love myself. So I was actually thinking when you were talking though that um this kind of ties into the layers of your core coaching. I mean, like the self-love, right? Because as you get to higher levels of energy, doesn't that correlate to something within self-love? I know I tend to
Yes, well, it's we
sure.
are love, right? The oneness. So that's the highest level of energy. Is going to be the oneness that we have, with the ability to have that Christ consciousness, or the ability to have that we are love, right? And we operate in a different space in that way. But yeah, the less we love ourselves, the harder things are going to be. The more sickness we're going to have, the more problems we're going to have, the more pain and suffering we're going to have. Because when we love ourselves, we recognize that much of our suffering is self-induced.
Mhm.
And when we can relieve that, then that changes everything.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really about understanding like, okay, where is my energy right now and how is it affecting me? Oh, it's not affecting me. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I have the power to change it. Oh, okay. I'm good then. And I can change it and I can shift it and I can be like, oh, okay, I'm good then. Right.
Yeah. And
That's
I
my,
and I like how it also ties into your earlier story about you're choosing between fear and love. It's one or the other. And
yeah.
so, not that we all think black and white, but if you think black and white, that makes it really easy to look, am I doing this path or am I doing this path? Now, obviously, there's that middle ground that stretches between them, and you can be anywhere along that path. But yeah,
Yeah. And it can be that if you're in fear, what does it feel like to love love yourself through that fear? Right. So even if fear is present, what would it look like to love myself in this fear? What would it look like to hold on to myself, to comfort myself, to provide myself with what I need, right? That
right,
might ask for what I need, which could be a whole nother can of worms that someone never knew how to do, right? So this is why illnesses or things like breast cancer, they can be gifts and they can be, offerings to us that we can use to alchemize those things that are harder for us to turn more into gold, right? To turn that lead into gold of like, okay, I don't know, I'm so codependent, I don't know how to take care of myself, I can take care of everybody else, I don't know how to get my needs met. And this might be the very thing if you choose to catapult yourself into that journey of learning to ask for what you need, right? um because it's a twisted way, and we are out of time to do this, but when we're in victim, we're looking for what we need, we want to get what we need, but we're doing it in a detrimental way. So if we can understand that playing the victim is detrimental to our well-being in a way of getting our needs met, we can then shift and say, okay, how can I take my power back, stand in my power and ask for my needs to be met and love myself through that and in that way. So
yeah,
it's a totally different feeling.
yes, I love it. I personally love the personal responsibility. So, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's what got me into coaching was realizing how much of a victim I was playing. I was comfortable playing the victim.
Yeah.
So,
So
and
many people are.
yeah, yeah, I had to get kind of woke up there and realize, wow, I'm choosing this. And
Mhm.
then it was real. When you
Yeah.
realize you're the one choosing it, it's like, okay. And you
Yeah.
also have the power to do something different. Okay. Like,
Exactly. And that's why it's a process, right? Because you can then become conscious that you're choosing it, but then there's moments where you're not consciously choosing it, right? That it's still a default factor. And so it's understanding, how do I get in there? This is the work you do, right? How do I get in there and reprogram those thoughts, reprogram those belief systems that are underneath the surface, driving my behavior and driving this victim mentality that I can't even see sometimes, right? Of how things show up.
well, it's not just an automatic thought. It's also just everywhere. And so sometimes you don't think to question what is just the environment that
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
seen. You
I
have
mean, just cancer diagnosis alone, right? That was a perfect like laboratory for me to go into and to really see like how disempowering our system is. Like if you are at, if you don't trust yourself or love yourself, you're just going to listen to what everybody tells you and they're the experts. But if you know how to stand in your power and like that you are the sole responsible person for your body and your decisions, it's like, okay, well, who has the power here to make the decision? I do. So who am I seeking the wisdom from? Like people outside of me? Like, where is my power in that? And so
yeah,
it's going within and finding our own power that way. But yeah, it's definitely our system, our world is designed to reiterate the victim mentality,
yeah.
because it's always about power and control. And that's how we take our power back, is getting out of victim.
I did it. I did it. You can do it. Stacy did it.
Right.
I
That's
know.
right.
All right. So what does the future hold for you that you are most excited about?
Probably, I would say the most excited about is my book. I'm a little bit terrified about it, but I'm excited about it too. It's still
What makes it
unfolding.
so exciting? The being
Um,
terrified is what makes you feel alive.
yes, yes.
Your
It's,
roller
I
coaster.
think I think what I'm most terrified about it really is that, like, I know I have to get on that ride, right? I have to get on that Matterhorn that's like, woo. But I know what's
There
ahead.
might be
It's
a
like,
couple of
oh
loops.
crap. Like, do I really want to sign up for this? But yet I know that this book has to come into form. I know it with everything, every bone in my body, based on my story and how it played out, and with the circus. So that's the root of the story, is the circus and my circus experience. And then how that tied in through the rest of my life. But the messaging behind it really is powerful. And I think the world is ready for it. And it's, hopefully I can get it out within the next year. I'm trying, but it's a lot of work. But
You're talking to the right girl here.
yeah, Ringling Brothers is coming back out next year. So
Oh,
I'm
that
kind
would
of
be perfect timing.
trying to time it. But we'll see. We'll
Oh,
see.
such divine timing again. Love it.
30 something years in the making, right? So it's been in me for a long time. I have journal entries from that time. So it's just learning how to incorporate all that into the book. And it's a lot to tell. There's a lot to tell. Some juicy stuff, some good stuff, and some really powerful stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty
Well,
excited about that.
I'm
And
excited.
all that's ahead with my business too. And the mastermind. I'm just excited for everything that's ahead, right? I'm in a new phase of life. I'm an empty nester now, and it's all in front of me. And so I get to just play, and decide who's in the sandbox with me and have fun along the way.
It all sounds so great. And I'll be there reading your book. So, how can people work with you and what can they expect from you when they start working with you?
So to work with me, you can follow me on social media. I do have a website, stacyyardley.com. It's currently under construction, so it's a little bit of my old stuff, but that's on there. I'm on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Facebook is probably more my go-to platform at the moment. That you can find me at Stacy Yardley, or Stacy A Yardley is my profile. And to what they would expect to work with me really is someone who is very pro them, if that makes any sense. So someone who is really going to come alongside you and advocate with you and for you for what you want, right? So I'm really about helping people stand in their truth and get in their truth and stand in their power, and to help them raise their consciousness. And so they can expect loving empathy from me, yet I don't know how to describe it, but people have said I'm like the love bulldog. Like I can go into the jugular. I can go right to the truth of it. I can see through people's BS, right? And get right into the heart of it, because I want people to transform their life and stand in their power. And so someone can expect to work with me to who's ready to love themselves deeper and to expand in their consciousness. That's really what it's about. Working with me is learning how to master your energy so that you can master life and show up and play in such a way that is fun and exciting and growth oriented and all the things. And no matter what comes at you, right? No matter what happens outside of you, it's about learning how to stabilize and be centered within. So I'm looking forward to it. I have some things coming up in the new year. So now's a good time to start following me, because things are going to start shifting and moving. So I'm excited about that.
And they're going to want to follow you for your book, the mastermind.
Yes,
For the
yes.
coaching.
Mastermind starts this Saturday, September 10th. So if you're interested in joining that, go to the social media sites. I do have a landing page. It's not set up on my website though. So you can find me on social media there. It's called Elevate Mastermind. And so you can check that out. It does start Saturday, and we're just running for 8 weeks. So it's a quick one, but it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm excited to see what's going to happen and the stories that are going to come out of it. So
I know it's going to be great. I'm so excited for you, and such a powerhouse. Like, who wouldn't want somebody to come alongside them and be an advocate? I mean, seriously, an advocate for exactly what you need. Perfect.
yeah.
Well,
Thank you, Ashley.
it was such a pleasure to have you today. And I'm very excited to hear what everybody comes back and tells me. So I still need to grab your stuff to put it on the podcast. So, so I can put it in the show notes. It will be in the show notes, people.
Okay.
So anyway, I'll stop recording and then say goodbye to you, but I'll say goodbye to our audience right now. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And I always tell everybody at the end of it, you matter. So you matter. And I will see you next time.